Let's see. We just like clicked our record there. We had our little video, or we had our video cues. So we are ready to dive into this sucker here. We are going to do elevator pitch. I think we can jump into that. I think that'll be a fun one because it's like some cool stuff. And as I'm looking at this, I'm trying to think, what is my good thing, bad thing going to be this time? I thought I had, I didn't write it down.
I'm struggling with those right now because I'm unfortunately having a little bit more bad than good some days
It
this
is
week.
sometimes it's like, where do I find the good? There's got to be some good in this. Where's this? Got to think about it. Let's see. Hopefully, I'm gonna wing it, and we're gonna figure that out. That's gonna be probably that'll be the good. Is it's like sometimes you wing it and you can come up with something, even though yeah, it may be really weak, but it's like, oh well, suck it up. Deal with it. You're not in my position, so you need to just get over yourself. We'll do the little three, two. Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing our season. This is season 24 of the Developreneur podcast, Building Better Developers. The focus this season, building better businesses. We've gone through a couple things in the recent seasons. This one, we're going to get a little bit on that entrepreneur side, the preneur side of developerpreneur, not to be confused with the manure side of something because we don't even have that. That's only if you're in farming, and we don't have to deal with that right now. But what you do have to deal with is me. My name is Rob Broadhead. I am one of the founders of Developreneur, also a founder of RB Consulting, where we are one of those boutique consulting kind of firms. And what we do is we sit down with you, we help you understand. Actually, we learn from you your business. What is it that makes your business special? It's not that we don't know anything about business, but it's like yours is unique. And so we work with you to craft that specific recipe through simplification, automation, integration, innovation to take your technology sprawl and turn it into a nice little, nice little pretty thing with a bow on top so that your big investment in technology is one that is a return on investment that is very good for you, that you're very happy about it, that you can manage it, not only today, but 6 months, 6 years from now, that you have that roadmap, that technology roadmap that helps you be successful. Good thing, bad things. Now, the bad thing is I was going into this. For those of you that listen to it or look at it on the YouTube side, you know that I'm trying to figure out what is my good thing, bad thing for this week. And yes, I am buying time right now to try to figure out what that could be because I've sort of exhausted some of my good ones lately. So one of the bad things is weather lately. It's not been cooperative. We've had a couple of nice days, but it's really been like wet and it's cold because it's winter. That's what all of this kind of stuff is. The good thing is it has allowed me some time where I was like normally would be doing yard work or stuff like that. It's allowed me time to just be like stuck at home. And so it's like, there's definitely work to do around the house, but it's also allowed me to like catch up on some games and some reading and some things like that. Cause I've actually had a little bit of downtime, even amidst all the work and that kind of stuff. So there you have it. I actually like managed to find a way to like work out a good thing and a bad thing. And that also bought time for Michael to do the same because he's going to introduce himself and give his good thing, bad thing. So dive into it.
Thanks, Rob. My name is Michael Meloche. I'm one of the co-founders of Developreneur, Building Better Developers. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we help businesses build software that meets their needs. And we do this using a test-driven QA perspective where we walk through your user journey. What are your stories? How do you work within your business, or how does your software need to work for you? Through those questions, through those journeys, we help you build the software or implement the right software for your business to streamline your processes. Good and bad. So I will start with the bad because I'm hoping it's going to lead to something good coming out of this week. So for the last few weeks, I'd probably say about a month now, I have been in the process of switching off of coffee to tea. And I thought it was being very health conscious, being very good about it. And last night, after my wife bought me a new set of tea to try, I'm reading the box and I realized that my idea to reduce the amount of caffeine in my system, to reduce my stress and anxiety, I went from drinking 2 cups of coffee a day to drinking 2 cups of coffee a day and the equivalent of 16 cups of coffee a day through tea. So, which explains why my anxiety and my stress has gone up exponentially over the last month. So, starting this week, I have now dropped down to literally 4 cups of one tea bag a day. And so far, I am not going into crash mode, so things are calming. Hoping to get a little bit more sleep, but even before the caffeine, I already had problems sleeping. So, it's a lost cause. So, that's my good and bad for this one.
I will follow up that one. I will just say that I am like, I moved off of caffeine many, many years ago and have found that it really did. Now, it could be because I got old and I'm just old and decrepit and stuff, but it did feel like I got, it seemed like my sleep got a lot better when I started shifting around my caffeine habits. So I wasn't consuming caffeine and sugar at 9 and 10 o'clock at night. Instead of like I sort of get it out of the way by noon and more or less can make it. Although I'm also getting old. So sometimes it's like 8:30 at night and I start to read a book and like one page into it, now I'm asleep. So there's that problem. But it does mean that like if I do decide to like grab a Red Bull real quick at that point, I will be awake for a while. I might be bouncing off the ceiling, Spider-Maning across the place, but at least I will be awake. That is a digression because what we're actually going to talk about this time is we're going to get into, we'll talk a little bit about like, we'll call it like the elevator pitch. But it's really a bit like, it's like the core, what do you do kind of side of your business. This is actually very useful from a professional point of view. And a lot of us, I think, just like brush that aside, which is, I think, part of why it's so difficult for us to do this for our business. Because as a developer, what do? I write code, I create software. That is very often what you're going to hear. If you ask a developer, what do? They're like, and there'll be more to it because usually like, because we're developers and we geek out a little bit, it's like, well, I write Java code and I use JavaScript for the front end and I use SQL Server on my back end or whatever it is. And if you guys don't use that, I'm sorry if I offended you. If you love it, great, I didn't offend you. But we don't really we don't have a story for what we do. It's like, what do? I swing a hammer and I nail nails. I write code. I create software. That's not going to be a blockbuster movie next summer. Like, Marvel's Avengers is not, they sit around and eat sandwiches. It's like, it's nothing like that. There's a story. And that's where you're going to be able to be more memorable, particularly when we're talking about your business, is get something that's going to like draw them in. We've talked in the past, now it's been a while, we'll have to go back to this. We've talked about the ideas of funnels and bringing people in and sort of like, casting a wide net and then starting to bring people into your business and your folks so that you go from people that, maybe they could be a customer to like, these are probably customers, like these are customers, and being able to sell or pitch them a product that is one that they need, that you're now, it's not a hard sell because it's like, you've already figured out that these are the people that you're building this product for. And so they're just like, take my money, because that's what you're giving them. But you start that with the elevator pitch or with we'll talk like your brand. And this isn't your vision or your mission statement because, it can be enticing, like when Google's used to be, don't be evil. But when they said, oh no, we can't do that anymore, then you're in trouble because it's like, wait a minute, why aren't you no longer don't be evil? Why did you kick that? Why did you stop doing that? One, why did you have to say that in the first place? And two, why did you stop? What we did, I'm digressing a lot today. I guess it's because it's later in the day. The thing I want to do is you want to distill what it is your business does and provide to really as few words as possible, like literally a couple of sentences. So if you do software and your company is, well, we just write software, we write solutions, that's not going to help. That's like everybody writes software solutions, or it feels like it. That's a huge field. You're going to niche down. You need to find, or if you're somebody that likes it, definitely you need to niche down, and you need to get to something that is very specific, that somebody's going to be like, I need that now. Not like, yeah, I like people that mow my yard occasionally. It's somebody that's like, I need you to mow my yard with a push mower today, or something like that. Yeah, like this is where we get into the specifics. And so I think it's also something that's important for us as entrepreneurs is to make sure we're doing something that we enjoy. And this is part of what it is. So instead of just like, for example, and this is sort of the journey that I went on at some point, it's like, I can write software. I can write software in any language. I can make it do pretty much whatever the heck you want it to do. And I can make it do it in a way that is like pretty. And I can even do it probably better than other people from a cost perspective. That's like my first. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to charge you an arm and a leg for it. That doesn't mean I'm going to be cheap, but that means that you're going to get value for your money. So it's like, okay, cool. There's something I can sort of latch onto. And as I started thinking about it, I was like, there are specific types of software that I really enjoy doing. There's certain tasks that I like doing. There's certain problems that I like to solve. And that's where I got into things like, hey, people struggle with technology. I understand technology. I've spent a lot of time learning technology, so I can help people understand where technology will meet their problems in a way that is efficient in time, in money, in all those other resources. So now I'm also, I'm narrowing this thing down. I'm getting to something more specific. Now within that, then it's like you really got to, it starts getting harder because now you're like niching down, and you think that what you're doing is you're throwing away potential customers, that there's money that's coming at you that you're now swatting away because you're focusing. But that's not it. What's happening is you're actually getting to the people that are actually going to give you money, and not the people that are like, maybe someday you could get money from me if I trip and my wallet falls out of my pocket. You're actually getting to people that are like, you're getting to a point where like, this is what I provide. And there is a small, very small pond of people that provide this. And so this is what I'm giving you. And so when you find the people that need to be in that pond, it is a much easier transaction. So thoughts before because I've gone all over the place. So thoughts on that.
So my initial thought, so when we talk about elevator pitch or kind of pitching your business, these funnels, the whole concept of the elevator pitch kind of came from the idea of you're in an elevator for 30 seconds, a minute with someone. How quickly can you explain your business or what it is that you do to the person next to you to sell them on your product? That's kind of where this came from. I don't know the exact slogan, but Apple had a good one. Like if you're selling products, like 1,000 songs in your pocket, the iPad or the iPod. They didn't get into technical specs. They didn't get into, hey, this is no. Here's a audio device that plays music. Here's how many songs you have. That's it. Sold millions of them. If you're selling a product like T-shirts, coffee cups, whatever, it's very hard to say, hey, buy my coffee mug. Well, why would I buy your coffee mug or someone else's coffee mug? That's where you kind of need to tell a story or describe your product or even your service in a way that, one, identifies who you are, but what it is that the customer is going to get from your product or from your service. I've heard this over and over again, and for years, I kind of skirted it. It's like, oh, yes, in some situations, I really got it right. In other situations, I really got it wrong. And interestingly enough, it was during interviews for a job that it came to my mind that I need to sell myself to this employer to get hired. So I very quickly changed the narrative of the interview to who I am and what I do, not well, and what I do, but in a way that is what the company needs. Like I will be a value for you. All this stuff on paper, yeah, it's me, but you're going to nitpick and ask me, well, how can I establish myself differently from the next candidate or from another resume? That's your elevator pitch. It's what makes you excited, what sells you, what is it that you're doing? What are you providing? So, like at the beginning, if you've listened to a couple of these, I'm constantly tweaking my elevator pitch because it is a little hard to sell QA or quality assurance software or services to companies when the bottom line is I need a product to sell. I don't need someone to sit around and test. It's cost versus, product. But every company needs some type of quality assurance to ensure that the product goes out well. Like if you have, manufacturing, you always see in some high-end products those little tags, inspected by or checked by. It's to make sure that the product goes out the same high quality every time so that you can say, hey, I have these wonderful soft Italian cotton shirts that, you wear and you feel wonderful. That's selling the experience, not the shirt. Yes, someone will buy the shirt for that experience. So that's a lot of the. So I've also kind of gone off the rails in many different directions here, but that's where it goes with these elevator pitches. Because when we're talking to our customers, especially if we're selling services, our customer, the person we're talking to, may need a different elevator pitch than what we're used to giving. So when you're talking to someone, if you're trying to sell a service, find out who they are, what they do. If they're a business and you're selling a service, what services might they need? What is it that they're doing that, oh, hey, have you thought of this? Or, what's your company do in this situation? And that might be your in right there. It could be, oh, well, we don't have anything for that. Why do you ask that? And then you could say, well, here is a journey, how you can get from here to there. Here's how we can improve that. Or here's a way to improve that. Sometimes even giving free advice or free tips is a good way to get a referral back to, hey, you helped me with this problem. Can your company help us with this other problem?
And I think that's part of it is being memorable. And it's interesting to me that if you go and examine the masters of memory, if you look at these people that go to these people that can like they can flip through a deck of playing cards and memorize the exact order in under 60 seconds, or they can, give them 10 different dollar bills and they can memorize all of the IDs on each of those and they'll do like in a minute or less or something like that. When you talk to them, or when you look at examine how this stuff works, is it often comes back down to stories. That is much more memorable. So 1115556 blah 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 doesn't hold anything, but when they turn that into a story, then the next thing you know, it becomes memorable, and it's even for a long period of time because now it's like triggering different portions of your mind. And that's really what you want with an elevator pitch is it you're probably not going to be able to like just really sell them right there. You may luck out and it's like the right person, the right time. But a lot of times what it is, and this is with networking in general and stuff like that, you want to be memorable. You want to have a way for when they're talking to their buddy or they're talking to their boss or a coworker or something like that, and come across somebody that knows or that needs a product that you provide, that they're going to remember that product and you and be able to say, hey, I talked to this guy in the elevator just the other day, and this is the product that he provides. And it sounds like that's exactly what you want. Now, part of it is, I think part of the whole pitch that some people miss is, yes, you want to tell a story, but I think what is very valuable is within that story, within that pitch, is you want to address the pain points or the pain points you resolve or the questions that you answer. This is really used a lot on when you do get to like funnels and stuff that you get out in the web. A lot of times what it is it's because it's based on SEO and things like that. It's stuff like, I want the people that are asking these questions to come to my site because I'm going to give them the answer they need to hear. I'm going to be able to solve that problem for them. I'm going to give them an answer, and it's going to be in a way that's going to match their budget, their time, whatever it is. And so that's part of what you want to lay out is you want to lay out within your pitch. You don't want to be negative or anything, but you do want to talk about like, what is the value that you bring? And it's essentially, what is the problem you solve? Or what is the pain point that you reduce? Or what is like part part of it is like, what is an ideal customer? What are they looking for? And then you get to say, hey, you're looking for me. So it may be things like instead of just selling yourself in a general sense, you think about it more of go to that, that avatar, that ideal customer. And if you're talking to them in an elevator, you got those, 30 seconds or a minute, is touching on those points that are their concerns. So for example, let's say I'm a real estate agent and I sell, 2-bedroom apartments in this certain neighborhood that's like, at a certain price range. Well, you have a very specific customer. You want somebody that wants a wants a 2-bedroom in that price range in that neighborhood. So that's part of what your elevator pitch needs to be, is you need to make sure that you're highlighting that, hey, if you're looking for a 2-bedroom apartment in this area for this price, then this is exactly what I do. From a software point of view, this is where it gets really challenging if you're a developer, because this is where you need to really niche down and you need to say, okay, where am I going to beat out everybody else? It's a little bit what Michael mentioned with the resume side. It's like if you're in an interview, there's a lot of people that have roughly the same resume, roughly. So the thing is where is it that you can like hang your hat, that you can really shine? For example, I've said I can write in a lot of different languages. I can do whatever software I need to build. I can do it in different environments. However, there are going to be some that I'm better than and others. Some because I haven't done them in a while, some because I just like them better. Whatever it is going to like allow me to narrow down what do I want to do. But another way you can look at it as a developer is like you're a problem solver. So what are the problems you solve more often than not? Are you more of a like an e-commerce person? Do you generate catalogs? Do you generate code? Do you do code generation? Do you do mathematical or data manipulation? Do you deal more with like moving stuff back and forth between systems and integrations? Are you process driven where you can go through and you can find a way to create the most efficient processes? Or are you a performance tuning kind of person where you look at stuff and you find better ways to do it? Are you a visionary of some sort where like the UI and the user experience is really you help people, you're like the person that can help people make that really clunky software a fun thing to use. Those are the things that you're looking for. It's like, what are the problems that you solve? What are the problems that you want to solve? And what are the ones that you do the best? Because those are where you're going to start like getting those hooks out there that people are going to be like, hey, you have this problem. I know somebody that will solve that problem. And make sure you've got a business card or something for them as well so they can hand that off. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because the other thing too that the elevator pitch, not just the cards and that, but also talking to other people like on podcasts or just social media in general, TikTok, wherever, you know, get out there, talk to people. I've seen some very good startups just go on TikTok, just start talking, and then all of a sudden they have followers, and then they start talking to their followers, and they get connections. So, well, you have an idea, or you may already have a business. It doesn't hurt to try to keep pushing the envelope with your elevator pitch. Keep niching it down. One of the best ways to figure out if you need to niche it down, am I getting customers that are not my ideal customer? Meaning, are these customers taking more time away from me working on my business or providing value to my other customers? How do I not attract those type of customers? How do I attract the customers I do like or I do work with better? So it's not just about drumming up business, it's also about refining the business that you have and improving the processes that that will help your business grow and improve those funnels.
Yeah, it's almost like a negative improvement where it's like sometimes some of the best things you can do is not take on certain customers. And trust me, I've had a few of those over the years where it's just like, oh, I would have been way better off had I not messed with that customer. And it's not always because they don't pay or they're, anything like that. Sometimes it's just like that took you away from your focus. For example, you could be sitting here right now and spending too much time, like, I don't know, reading social media when you could be writing an email to us, which is much more valuable, at least to us, but probably to you as well, because then you can go out there, you can recommend or suggest or request whatever it is that you want us to talk about. And we will probably get around to it because we want to provide information and topics that are useful to you. If you don't like email, then you can do it at developreneur.com. You can fill out our contact form there. You can reach us on X at developreneur. There's a Facebook page out there. That's the developreneur Facebook page. You can leave us a comment wherever it is that you are listening to this podcast, or if you go out to the Developreneur channel out on YouTube, you can check out all of our prior videos and episodes that are the ones that have videos side to it. All of that, leave us questions or leave us comments, leave us questions, leave us feedback, and we will get back around to you. We promise. It may take a little bit, but we will get to you because sometimes we get some like stuff that's from a long time ago. We got to go dig that back up and go say, where was that code that we were using or where did we get that example? Sometimes it's from a site that no longer exists. I digress, but I'm not going to anymore. I'm going to let you get back to your day. So go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. Bonus material.
Oh, I guess one of the things we didn't touch on that is good for your elevator pitch, stand in front of a mirror and pitch. Seeing your facial expression, see your hand motions will really quickly help you identify things to stop doing. Because if you're not looking the person in the eye, if you're doing wild gestures, people are going to either run from you or they're going to be turned off by you, or just your mannerisms alone might make you unapproachable. So that's kind of my bonus is practice your pitch in front of the mirror and even practice it in front of friends and family. The more feedback you can get about your pitch, the better.
I think that's really the thing is that like it is one of these things. It's sort of an iterative process. So the more you pitch, the more that you use it, the more that you get feedback from it, the more you can make all those little refinements. And it sometimes it is sort of like doing an A/B comparison in a lot of cases to say, maybe if I go this direction with it, or if I use that word, or if I change my mannerism or my approach, or maybe I flip it on its head and instead of the stuff that I was closing with, I start with and vice versa. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can tweak it. And it is amazing. There's a lot of science around like hitting the right word at the right time and using the right term and how that impacts your customers in particular, because there's going to have a lot of times we're going to find that there's going to be a way that the way we basically put the words together for our pitch will affect a lot of people a certain way, but others, it will affect them in a different way. And sometimes that different way and those different people are our customers. And we want to make sure that while maybe that word or that phrase doesn't make sense in the general sense, it does for our target audience. It's one of those things that's like, maybe it's like, it's too geeky or it's a reference that doesn't work, but it does for our customers. And so we can keep that in. And it's actually a way to like be like, okay, if you don't get it, not my customer. You're not going to you're not going to be a good fit. And sometimes, like I said, it's as important to not take on a customer, maybe as it is to win one.
That made me think. I was trying not to bust out laughing too bad, but if you think about it, there is a reason that Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts set up near gyms or places where people tend to eat.
Very much so. That's like, no offense to anybody that would be in this world, but I think there's actually a law against it. And I'm trying to remember why, because I remember pitching this somewhere a while back, is that Girl Scouts need to take those cookies and they need to park that spot right in front of one of those marijuana dispensaries, because it's like, boom, they're going to come in there and they'll be like, I need snacks. And that's exactly what you want to be, is you want to be that Girl Scout. But I think there's some sort of like, which probably is, it's like Girl Scouts are like want to be a little more wholesome than being hanging out at like the local dispensary. But there's things like that, location, location, location. It's just like being an injury lawyer that happens to be like, your office is next to a hospital, or a bail bonds person that your office is like right at the jail, or a golf pro that happens to live right on the golf course. Then like all of those kinds of things. that feed into being at the right place at the right time. And that's what you want to do with your elevator pitch is you want your words to hit the right tone, the right chords for your audience, for your ideal customer audience, so that that can get, that can reverberate. And if it is something that is very memorable, if you use a turn of a phrase or something like that that sticks, then it's going to be something that if somebody else hears it later or here's something that resonates with that will help. That's why I love, like, I use technology sprawl because I just love that, because to me it's just like paints a picture that, and I got that from somebody else when we were walking through pitches and stuff like that. But that's when I'm like, God, that just, it just has a weight to it that you're like, if I'm struggling with it, I know what that is. And those are the kinds of people that are my customers. It's like, if you know what that is, if you've never heard that phrase before, but you suddenly like are weighed down by it, that's what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for right now is dinner. I got to get out of here. I got to go eat. I got to go to the rest of my day. And you guys probably do too. Hopefully, you haven't starved to death, and we'll cut this short before you pass out from lack of food or anything else that you may be lacking. We will return, though. We are just cranking through this stuff. So we will catch you next time. Go out there and have yourself a great day.